I decided to take a break from binge watching the third series of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina to bring you 50 through to 41 of my favourite albums of the 90s. 100 albums that I think are great. Slightly croaky voice because I was at a birthday party last night. As some of you know, because some of you were there, or maybe none of the people who were there are going to ever watch this video. Either way, fine, video is still being made. Right, so number 50. Now I shouldn't muck up the numbering on this one because 50 through to 41 is quite easy to remember. We'll see. 50, 50th favourite album of the 90s. Technotronic, Pump Up the Jam. This was the first album, artist album, I bought with my own money. No, that's not true. Yeah, to justify that, it was the first artist album I bought with my own money that I saved up that wasn't birthday money. And it's from 1990, and I bought it on record so I could take it into school and have the record play it. Have the teacher play it. I thought I wrote my name on it, but I didn't. Could have gone Walkabout. Might not even be the same copy. It is the same copy. Pump Up the Jam. So it's got Pump Up the Jam. It's got Get Up Before the Night Is Over. Rocking Over the Beat. This beat is Technotronic. And the other one was Move This, but it wasn't a single in the UK. But still, it's a well-known song. And it's going to be really difficult to pick a favourite off this one. And I actually might leave this out to listen to later on because I really like the album tracks Tough and Take It Slow. I think they're great. But I'm going to probably pick Pump Up the Jam as the best because it's an iconic song. And it created its own life. What am I talking about? Nothing. I'm not talking about anything. I'm talking about records. I'm talking about record number 49. Talking about Lamb by Lamb, their debut album from 1996. I bought this on CD at the time. I listened to it. I didn't like it. I gave the album away. Years later on, I realised it was a great album. Bought it again on CD, and then the vinyl got repressed a couple of years ago. Like trip hop, drum and bass, really angular beats. Really nice vocals from Lou Rhodes, and the track Gorecki is an absolutely perfect song. Every second of it is perfect. Loving the songs Cotton Wool on this, and I love Lusty, and I love Trans Fatty Acid. But Gorecki is the track. I was just thinking, oh, Gorecki's on it twice, but it's different mix. Gorecki is the track on this one, full version. And if you don't know it, listen to it because you probably would know it because it gets featured on things. Album number 48, Christine W, Land of the Living. Criminally ignored by quite a lot of people. I'd say majority of the population of the world ignore this album exists. The singles on it kept getting released again and again, and they never became big hits. Feel What You Want was a hit. A minor hit on a couple of occasions, and it's got the hallmarks of Rollo from Faithless, or early versions of Faithless, all over it. So there's no reason it should have failed. It's got really great lyrics to the vocal, really great vocal. It's fun. The beats are banging, the riffs are banging, and it wasn't a hit. But my favourite track off this one is the second single, which was One More Try, because it goes, I don't know what to do. Just like that. And you probably want to buy the album now based on that very rendition. Another dance classic at 50, 49, 48, 47. Grace, If I Could Fly. There were a ridiculous amount of singles off this. There was Not Over Yet, I Want to Live, Skin on Skin, If I Could Fly, Hand in Hand, Down to Earth, You're Not Mine, 7. Seven singles off this. And I think they're all top 40 hits as well. So the fact that you can have 7 top 40 hits off an album, and the album just doesn't feature anywhere at all as remembered in any way, is quite remarkable. But this is a great album with Paul Oakenfold, with Dominic Atkins as the vocalist. my favourite track of this is obviously Not Over Yet, because it's one of the greatest dance songs ever made. But actually, every song on this I think is great. It's more than just dance music. It holds together really well as an album. So 46 is Dead Cities by the Future Sound of London. Now, I managed to mess up saying the Future Sound of London every single time I say it, and I've now managed to say it twice in this video without making a mess of the name of the band. So that is something in itself. Terrifying gatefold sleeves, horrifying back, but it is called Dead Cities, and this is the woman who will kill you in your nightmares. I love Future Sound of London 3 times now. In general, I think they make great music. Stupid thing to say. I think they make great music. This track is quite. It's electronic, but it's quite laid back and quite not orchestral, but ambient is the word I'm going for. So, but it's really dark sounding. So there's a track, My Kingdom was the lead single off this, then there was We Have Explosive, but virtually every track on this one again is great, and it's one of those ones that you have to listen to from beginning to end, because you're too lazy to stand up and turn it off. 45, 4, 3, 2, 1, yeah, I'm still on track. 45, Tricky, Maxine K. I have to go for my favourite track of the last one. My favourite track of the last one is We Have Explosive. 45, Tricky, Maxine K from 1995. Tricky was one of the Wild Bunch alongside Nena Cherry, Massive Attack. I think Portishead were part of that crew. Tricky was on Massive Attack's first album, and then they made the second album, and long story short, and I might be misreporting it, but they fell out, so Tricky re-recorded the songs off Protection in the way he wanted to, and that was the backbone for Maxine K. So if you listen to Karma Coma and Overcome, they are the same song in effect. And there's Hell Is Around the Corner and I think it's Eurochild off Protection, they're the same song as well. If you didn't know, there's a fact for you. Martina Topley Bird doing the vocals on this alongside Tricky, and again it's a great listen from beginning to end, and I always change my mind on what my favourite one on this is, because I would say it's Overcome, and I would also say it's Black Steel, but I think it might be either You Don't or Feed Me, so I'm gonna go with Feed Me, because I'm always hungry. Great reason. 44, my 44th best album of the 90s. Saint Etienne, Good Humour. Never really understood why they spelled good humour in the American way. Seems like pandering to a market. But here it is, Good Humour. Lead single off this was Sylvie in 1998. Always a classic, always great to hear at the shows. And then I think the record company picked The Bad Photographer as the second single. I don't think the band liked it. So they always perform Lose That Girl on their live shows. And that's a great decision, because Lose That Girl is a great song. And my favourite track of this is Sylvie, but closely followed by Lose That Girl. 43, and the lowest placing album by Madonna on this 100, I think. Yeah, that'd be right. I don't know. If I'm wrong, it's my countdown. I do what I like. Bedtime Stories. Oh, don't gasp. It's a great album. It was a lot lower in this countdown in actual fact, until I put it on a couple of weeks ago and thought it needs to be higher. Singles off this: Secret, Take a Bow, Human Nature, Bedtime Story. My favourite track of this one is Bedtime Story. People would go, oh, it's co-written by Björk. It wasn't. Madonna pinched lyrics from Björk and then credited her, as I see it, from the song Sweet Intuition, which was a B-side. 43, 42, 42. Nicolette, Let No One Live Rent-Free in Your Head, which is a great album title. It's a great album, and it's great advice. Let no one live rent-free in your head. Get rid of them. Or charge them rent. It's a very unusual album. I'd say this is the closest album that exists that is close to Björk's Post. That wasn't a very well-worded sentence, but I'm 10 minutes into this video and I'm not starting again now. Singles off this were No Government, and what was the other one? I think Judgment Day was a single. Yeah. But No Government is my favourite of this album. It has production by Plaid. I call them Plaid. They're actually pronounced Plaid. However, I've been calling them Plaid for years, and I'm not going to stop doing it now. And also Alec Empire from, what are they called? Atari Teenage Riot. So the beats are really noisy and raucous, and Nicolette's vocal is really childlike and soulful in a really beautiful way, and the two things mixed together perfectly, like a squished heart. I don't know why I did that version. My favourite track off this would be No Government, but I love Nightmare. The song Nightmare tells a story of the fact that she has this perfect life, perfect family, everyone's nice all the time, she's only got nice things to say to each other, and then she says, I woke up and it was a nightmare, which isn't that true? Isn't being perfect all the time just a nightmare? Imperfection for the win. And my 41st favourite album of the 90s. Look, it's Billy Ray Martin, already featured on this countdown in her band Electribe 101, further down. But this is her solo album, and this was released in 1996, and again, quite ignored. And it's a brilliant album. You could dismiss this as a dance album, because dance albums are kind of seen as not being an album in themselves. It's just a collection of singles that are dance songs. Not the case. You'd know Your Loving Arms, probably. But what you don't know is like all the other songs on here. So there was other singles, so Running Around Town, Imitation of Life, You and I Keep Holding On, and in particular Space Oasis is a great song. But there's other really lovely songs like Still Waters and We Shall Be True. But it's like a big Torch song album, but presented as 90s dance, but not so in your face. Just it's great. It's a great listen. I spent about £30 on this, hunting it down for years, and my friend Scott wanted a copy. Said, if you ever find it, let me know. And then I found it, and it was £1, and I got 20% off. So I got a copy for me for £30 and a copy for him for 80p. But still, it's good. Good. Like £30 and 80p and 2 copies of a great album. I'm talking more about the price than I am about the album. My favourite track off this would probably be, I'd probably go for Space Oasis on this one. The production on this is I think a lot of it is Dave Ball, who's the Grid. He was also in Soft Cell. I think I'm right with that. I can't be bothered opening it up to find out. If I'm wrong, what can I say? I'm wrong. And that was 50 on the side through to 41. And we have a top 40 coming up, which is the natural state of any music countdown is a top 40. But that was 41 to 50.